back to something that you mentioned just a couple of minutes ago about anger and how, we're talking about all these different uh, points in their life and they are going to express anger in different ways. And what are some of the things that you suggest to some of these kids to working through their anger? Because that is a
So,
big one. That's a really big way that they are expressing themselves, and they need to have a good way to do it. So, what do you suggest?
so that's kind of when, especially for kids, like some of the activity based stuff. So, it can be the tried and true, like when you get mad, here's the pounding pillow. You can go beat on this pillow. A lot of the mindfulness techniques, the breathing stuff. We have a woman who I think I talked about in the podcast who does Jinshin Jitsu or acupressure
Mhm.
with kids, and she has a series of finger holds that she uses, each of the fingers, so kids can just hold their thumb. This is the fear. Fast. Let's see. No, this is worry, fear. Holding the middle finger, ironically, is anger.
Okay.
Weirdly, Katerina's done that. I have tried it during some stressful moments. And I'm just like, I'm so mad right now, but I have to stay present. I have to sit in this meeting. And so I'll kind of hold on to this finger, and after a few minutes I'm like, oh god, I actually do feel feel a little better. So figure out, just it's
Okay.
like giving your kids, here's a laundry list, 10 tools, like the finger holds. That's something they can do quietly in a classroom. If
Mhm.
you can praise them to say, hey, recognizing when you're starting to feel super angry and out of control, that's so good that that's coming. So in that moment, what can you do? You can hold the finger under your desk. You
Yeah.
can do the deep breathing. Clinician talks about, what is she, finger breathing? So
Oh,
trace, partly it's a
yes.
tactile thing. You can breathe in and then breathe out. So have,
Yeah.
and again, that's something the kid can kind of do if they're in a school setting, especially, which is where they spend a lot of their days. That's something they can do under the desk. Nobody necessarily knows what they're doing. For the at home stuff, so we had an activity we did with kids in grief group. They kind of draw a mural, with washable markers of all the feelings, stuff they're just mad about that's happening. And then we taped them on a wall outside, and they threw wet sponges at them. So it
Okay.
actually created kind of this beautiful. So again, part of it's the energy of anger gets, and it's like this pent up in your body. Like, why do kids punch something, when their energy is
Hmm.
trying to leave your body? If you think about actually the action of a punch. So instead of throwing the wet sponge at something, or if they're just mad, like they don't have to do the art part of it, they can go, a bucket of water and a couple of sponges and just go
Yeah.
throw a sponge at a wall or a tree, for as
Yeah.
long as they kind of get it out. Again, exercise, like moving your body, putting on that piece of music, for the team that's like the headbanger piece of music, just, I think if you can suggest like specific, here, let's make the list. What are 5 things that have helped you? And again, the anger, a lot of those, again, movement, um, and just, being able to do something to kind of help your body. So those are
Yeah.
just some, but there are a lot of, great suggestions online. I've seen one where it's like you use paper towel rolls to essentially make like a screaming tube. I mean,
Okay.
with like a
Yes.
cereal box and so they're like art kind of craft things you can do. And
Yeah.
again, it's screaming into the pillow, making the screaming tube. I think especially if it's something that like has some steps of an activity, it's a moment to calm down, but it's also
Yeah.
legitimizing, like, this anger is real. It's worth our attention to create this tool to help you deal with it when it comes
Yes.
up. And so much of what anger is a really basic but also misunderstood emotion. You think about how often we say to kids, like, don't be angry,
I
or they
know.
hear that at school all the time,
Yep.
like, don't be angry. So and I have to say, especially for kids of color, anger in youth of color, people see as scary and not an acceptable emotion. So
That's
how is
hard.
that fair that you're saying to a person of color, you're not allowed to, we feel uncomfortable when you're expressing one of the very most basic grief emotions.
That
You're
is
not
hard.
allowed that.
Yeah.
So I do think acknowledging for the kids that, yes, this is a lot of kids, who've experienced similar things to you are angry, that's legitimate, so let's figure out what to
Mhm.
do with it. So again, there are tons of suggestions, but I think normalizing that the anger's there, and then giving them the tool to
Yeah.
manage it in the moment.
Yeah. That's very helpful. All of those suggestions. I love those. Um, and it works for many age ranges, Yeah, kind of works for all of them. So that's good. So what are
the,
some
the wet sponge can be highly therapeutic
yeah,
for any of us.
guys. I might have to try that. No.
Boxing, I mean, actually, like for their, yeah, no, well, and now, like boxing for exercise for about a year after my mom died. Also, like one of the things, there was a new boxing club that, had a class that, was open to kids. Again, that outlet, like just,
Yeah.
that was a sanctioned way where she could just go pound on something. So I think, seeking out, different activities too, for kids of different ages, like what is it that's going to be the outlet for that?
Hmm.
Equine therapy was something else my daughter latched on to. Again, the boxing, sport, anything, again, the movement of the body, sometimes fresh
Yeah.
air, also just kind of, helping them reset, taking a walking again, something as simple as, especially with the younger one, unless your team's, gonna let you drag them along, let's
Yeah.
go walk 2 blocks around. We'll do our
Yeah.
circle, and then,
Yeah.
around the block, we'll come back.
Yeah.
So again, if it's something you can do with them, that's great, and kind of create that, sometimes I get really angry too when I think about X, to again normalize it, to the anger. Some of these emotions, a lot of the emotions that kids have around grief, they feel frightening to the kids. We ask
Yeah.
them in our intakes, like, how do you feel like your behavior's changed since the loss? And they will write some of the most heartbreaking stuff. They know the feelings they're having. They see how they've changed. They'll say, I used to be so outgoing, and now I just want to sit in my room. I don't want to talk to
Aw.
anybody, or I can't sleep now, or I get angry at people I love and I don't understand why. So
Mhm.
it's like they have the first half of, they understand the feeling and the emotion, but they either can't connect it to the grief, or then they just don't know what to do about it.
Yeah.